Dog fans, welcome to Hunker Down, Impact Media's dive right through the hedges into the world of the UGA Bulldogs. I'm your host, Jeremy York. He's the amazing other half of this show, the more skilled other half of this show, Jake Skinner. How are you, bud?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just got through at the gym. Just I need some sleep now. Especially after like everyone else, after watching this game, we all wanted to go to bed.
Oh, I told you, I had to come home and watch the highlights. I was coming in from a Gladiators hockey game, so I got to hear the last 5 minutes of game time and then all eight overtimes as I flip between three different radio stations because between here and Gwinnett, you don't pick up all the channels you really want to.
That's fair. Yeah, you're going to pick up a little bit of everything, that's for sure.
Yep, but was able to do that. Like I said, went back and watched them same way you did as well. Uh, Let me just start with this. Yes, you guys won the game. You won as far as that. I'm not going to say you lost in any way, but uh, at least do you and other dog fans now believe me that Tech is a lot different team than they ever were,
Oh,
and they were going
I
to give
still
you a
believed
game.
you. Don't come after me like that. I did believe you that Georgia was going to have a tough time against Tech. I
Yeah,
picked just like John picked Georgia to win this game. Like, to be fair, this team has been a very Mark Richt-esque team. And the fact that you don't know which team's going to show up, you know you're going to get
no.
about two good quarters of football. That's not a very, and I'm going to get to this in a couple of
I
minutes.
mean,
Something
if
I
you count the overtimes, I guess you had three because you had one half you played good, one half you played okay, and then the third half of the game that was just nuts.
You played one half horrendous, one half average to great in that fourth quarter. And then, yeah, but like kudos to Tech. Like Brent Key is building a monster over there. I don't like it. I hate when the little brother is that bad. He hates Georgia that much, and I'm like, dude, I already hated Tech, but you're gonna make me hate you even more. Like, thanks for becoming
Yeah.
the villain we need. Like, you guys are always a thorn in our side. So,
Oh yeah.
like, again, good on Tech for being who they had to beat this year. They've had a good season. I'm not knocking them in any way on this one. Like, I'm just saying, like, they have a good team. Haynes King is the heart and soul of that team. I don't know that they're the same team without Haynes King. Let's be honest. I
No,
don't
they're
think that
not.
any other quarter. I think the score that I said is that score if it's not for Haynes King. So kudos to them. They played a great game. They kept Georgia confused and they pushed Georgia around for basically four quarters and an overtime, other than when Georgia finally decided to wake up. Like that, which leads into my point of like it's the same thing all year. Georgia is not strong up front. Like that was supposed to be a strength, but our offensive line is leftovers from Matt Luke. Um,
Remember,
Matt
that's what
Luke
I
is
said.
killing.
In the trenches is I said it on both shows. In the
Yeah,
trenches is where this is going to be played, and
yeah.
Georgia Tech has that advantage.
Georgia had that advantage. Georgia, like, and as a Georgia fan, you red and black glasses are on a little bit, but like I still believed in Kirby, and I know that Kirby's not going. If you're going to beat Georgia, you got to beat them up front. But Georgia's not going to
Yeah.
get beat up front that often.
No.
And to be fair, there's been parts of the year where Georgia was not going to be beat up front. There was nothing going to happen, and that's still when Georgia had to, they could do it. What do, it's still annoying to say that Georgia got pushed around for 260 yards rushing, and their front guys, excuse me, when they blitzed, they still could not get to the quarterback.
Right.
So again, up front's the problem. I think this recruiting class that if we got time, we'll talk about it. But dog fans just know the defensive line's getting reset with this class. You will see at
Yeah.
least two of the freshmen that are coming in be starters next year. I mean, day one starters. If they're not, then Kirby's got a little bit of a game plan going to get them ramped up. You'll see them rotating at least. But that being said, you've got to fix things up front. I don't necessarily think it's the coaches just yet. I think recruiting wise, both of them are doing their job. You've got a defensive line coach who has done amazing at developing NFL talent, an offensive line coach who still he's done good work. He's done a great job recruiting, but again, he's playing with leftovers from a previous offensive line coach. And then you also lead into your offensive coordinator still not getting guys open. Arians, there's three things in life that's guaranteed: death, taxes, and Arian Smith dropping a critical catch. Not the one
Yeah.
in the overtime. That was not his fault. I'll
No.
give that was a Dylan Bell tip, but the other one that could have led to something more early. Yeah. So needless to say, Georgia from the inside out is not good this year. Having a great defensive line mask deficiencies at linebacker in the secondary. Georgia has deficiencies at both. eyes are not always in the right spot, and I think that you just got a lot of you need some new voices in that secondary, and that linebacking room needs something to happen. I'm just still not. Glenn Schumann's kind of killing me. He killed me this game. Like your defensive coordinator, and like Kirby's letting you coach, and Kirby's just sitting there with his hands in his pocket for 4 quarters. I don't love that, but I'm not. I know Kirby how Kirby reacts to things. I still don't think Kirby was like fully like coaching his team the whole time. I want to see if like maybe he was letting his coaches coach to put them under the fire to see what he had to do. Late game of the season, you know you can win it. Your team's getting bullied. How does my team react? How do my coaches react? And it wasn't
And
until Kirby
you were
kind of got
already in the game next week anyway, regardless of what happened on this game.
yeah.
So it was kind of one to play with.
Right, it's one to play with. Georgia's done this before. Kirby's done this time and time again where he lets his coaches, lets his player play, and then finally says, okay, now I'm going to take your arm. And from twisting it behind your back and letting you fight, you have both arms now. And what happens, Georgia starts swinging again.
Yeah,
But the difference is this Bulldog team, I mean, they've got heart, but they don't have the heart of Tech that Tech has. I don't
exactly.
trust this team going forward in playoffs. I mean, they could get hot. I don't know what this team's capable of because of the offense. That's the biggest holdup for me.
I think that's what makes them the wild card in all of this. And we'll get to the playoff projections because either they're going to be a top four team or they'll be like the seventh or eighth seed depending on what happens. They're going to be in regardless.
Yeah.
But from a Tech perspective, Haynes King throwing for a couple touchdowns, uh, throwing for
If it
around
wasn't for
300.
him, they didn't score at all.
Well, exactly. But I mean, that's very much how they do things. Well, Eric Singleton did have a catch, but and then the running back had the other. But obviously, they don't normally score 42 points, but they normally don't go to 8 overtime. So I don't factor in that. But 27 points is about their average. I think I put them right at that with the projections. And
Yeah.
yeah, you and John did predict the game winner, but I told you it was going to be close. I didn't think it'd be this close. I thought it'd be within 3 or 4 points or something like that. But uh, I think both these teams helped each other more than people want to give them credit for
Could be.
because for the
Could be.
longest time, this rivalry hasn't been that entertaining. Even when Tech won, you're just kind of like, okay, so that happened this random time.
Yeah.
I think
The
this is
last time
setting
Tech
up.
won was Kirby's first year in 16.
I think for sure that going forward, the next 3, 4, 5 years, the games are going to look a lot like this. They're not going to go to eight
They very
overtimes,
well could.
but you're going to get very back and forth. That I don't care if Tech's undefeated and Georgia comes in with 2 wins. I think it's going to look like this. If it's the opposite, I think it's going to look like this. You're going to get two teams that are the Battle of Georgia is actually back.
It could be. I think if it wasn't already a wake up call, it's a Kirby and staff definitely they already knew their team's weaknesses. This just proved them. This just showed the
Mm-hmm.
world you hit Georgia in the
Mm-hmm.
mouth. Now Kirby and company can prep for Texas. They can see they know what they have to do this coming weekend. I
Yeah.
definitely think a Friday night game did not help in regards to not having an extra
Right.
game, a practice or getting some extra reps in. It's a Thanksgiving, so you're not it, that again. I don't not against Friday night games, but I definitely think on a holiday weekend in college football is a little different. Because
Yeah.
they do it in the NFL, but in college, especially SEC schools, ACC schools, they don't normally especially with, like I said, I don't know. I'm not blaming that for anything. I'm not trying to take away from anything. Like, good job by both teams. Just there's that part of me that knows how Kirby coaches, that knows what's going
Mm-hmm.
on. That's
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I try to stay informed, but like there's something that says something was going on in there. I don't know what it was, but this is not the Georgia team that I know they can be.
Right.
Carson came into the season. I told you I thought he could be the number one pick. He does not look like it at all half the time, but I still don't. I don't know that that's him. I think that's an environment around him because he's looked dejected half the season. Well, I
Yeah.
think it boils down to our number one receiver was our fifth best receiver a year and a half ago. Okay.
Yeah.
That there's a drop off in production at wide receiver, which has led to this. There's a drop off at the offensive line when you don't have day one NFL talent or day two NFL, even one, the first few round talent, then that's not
Right.
there. That's a drop off. Defensive line doesn't have that full talent. I don't know that any of these guys on the front of the line, except for Michael, really gets a good shot in the pros, gets any good run. Running backs, I mean, they got a good room, but your offensive line can't open holes for half a game, and your receivers are doing the best they can. But you're having to we have relied on our tight ends for years. That's acceptable. You can win that way. Georgia's proven it. It's just either they're not scheming them open or guys are not running the right routes like all year. So Georgia's got a lot to clean up before next week, before the playoffs, before the start of next year. There's a lot that's got to happen, and I think it's going to happen. I think I've got some ideas of what could happen. Um, I've heard some rumors of some shakeups on the coaching staff. I've already told that to you privately. I'm not going to go into detail here just because I don't want to
Well,
speculate or put anything out
yeah,
there.
exactly. And right now they're just rumors with a little bit of legs. There's not enough to fully run with it yet.
Right. And I will say those legs are getting longer and starting to really run now. So, like, I think if that happens, I think after the SEC title game, you're going to hear something go down. And if it's what I'm hoping, we will have a podcast about it if we need to.
Oh, I'm sure we will. We'll have some between wherever they're at in the round of 12 basically, and then moving forward from there. But I gotta say, there's no reason to call that kid Brett Thorson anymore. Just call him Thor because
Yep.
he kicks like his leg is a hammer.
He kicked
He
like
only had to,
the football was his enemy, is what he
yeah,
did.
like it owes him money or something. I mean, he pinned him deep a couple times actually. I don't give him credit for one, but he only punted three times for 162 yards, which is a 54-yard average. That is like my drive in the tee box. That is, which is not good in golf, but that is fantastic if you're going to kick a football. That is ridiculous what he can do with a football. Now, Woodring did miss his lone field goal, and you could argue, well, that they would have won 30-27. But I also argue that if he hits that field goal, it's a different game because we
Yep.
don't know what happens after that.
Mhm.
That we only know what happened because he missed. It made them play a different way. So if they would have hit that, maybe they got comfortable and cruise, or maybe they don't get comfortable and get smashed. Who knows what happened?
Yeah, it's really hard to know. Like I saw that kick and he definitely pushed it right.
Just a
He
little, yeah,
kept it right. Like I think that was also, to be honest, I think that might have been just a touch out of his range. Um,
yeah.
it's 53. He's hit a 55 yarder. I just think cold air. It's
Or
windy.
I was about to say, really cold, really windy. Like you said, a Friday night after the day after a holiday. I mean, all three of us, none of the three of us here with all of our collegiate coverage watched this game live. We were all covering something else. So none of us actually saw this live.
I
We
was
all
covering a
listened
game
to
night
it
at my
or we were,
friend's where I came in stone dead last, so that was acceptable. It beat it.
but
Listen, Georgia fans, I love the Dogs. Y'all know it, but I'm glad I didn't get to watch this one. I went back and rewatched the highlights. I've watched parts of the game. It was not pretty. I'm kind of glad I didn't get a chance. Like my heart was in my throat watching overtime on my phone, and all of a sudden my phone lit up halfway home, and I had my girl go, "You want to read that, please? I need to know what happened." So I was all
yeah,
too happy to see that one in because this felt, again, going back, this felt like a very Mark Richt kind of game. It's not a Kirby Smart kind of game. I don't know what's going on with Kirby. Maybe there's something going on that we're not privy to. Again, I think everyone on that team is exhausted. They've had it. Every one of them is ready for the offseason because it's been a very long, like they've had the hardest schedule of the year. They have survived at
yeah,
Texas. Their only
I'm
losses
sure.
have been neutral or at home. Well, no, they've not lost at home, excuse me. They've won at home, but they've lost on the road to Bama. They lost on the road to Ole Miss in a game that they should have been in the whole time. But again, a lot of
Yeah,
this goes back to coaching on the offensive side, and then the defense had a really good game. If the offense could hold onto the ball and score and to keep it closer, defense might have had more to play for.
yeah,
Um, you can come up with 1,000 reasons, but hopefully this team going forward, like you were saying, because like I said, all these reasons make me not want to watch a game, but going forward, this team could be better because of what Tech did to them. Hopefully, Tech woke this team up more than anyone else has. Because when little
yeah,
brother finally turns around and pops you in the mouth and it stuns you, usually that's when you find out I'm done playing around. I'm coming after you.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Uh, it definitely helped my ride home. I had an almost hour and a half ride home thanks to a little bit of traffic. And at one point, I thought I was actually going to just have to sit in the driveway and listen to the end of this because it was getting really close to I was like, I'm coming up on my exit. I've only got a couple more minutes. I may have to sit out here and just listen to the rest of this because I don't want to go in there and watch it. It's way more
No.
fun to listen to three different stations tell me about it.
Yep. I don't disagree with you on that.
But like I said, I really like all of us hit on things that absolutely happened here. I think that's part of what makes our coverage so unique is that the three of us have completely different perspectives on things, especially on this game in particular. I'm the one that I'm the one that's in the middle, the neutral one actually of all of it. I just like the chaos, which there was plenty of here. You being Georgia and John being Tech, but we all had different perspectives on it, all different things, and I
Yeah,
think we actually did a good job of kind of wrapping up. Maybe we'll have to go to one of these one year. I'm not sure which one.
I'm
We
hoping
got to
to.
check the marketing department, and the marketing department's staring me down right now. So I really doubt it's going to be anytime soon. But uh, now we move on and we talk about the game that everybody is going to talk about this week, and that is number 16 Iowa State at number 15 Arizona State. The battle of the Big 12. No, I'm just kidding. I actually like that game, but I like Arizona State. That's just me. But SEC championship, it's going to be in the dome. I call it the dome, the Halo Dome, whatever they want to call it. Uh, Up until most of the time of the year, this building behind me is the home of Atlanta United, and sometimes they play football there. But this time of year, it's all about college football, and it's usually all about the dogs. At least this time, you're not staring at Alabama on the other side.
That's
Texas
true.
Georgia is actually the matchup that I wish we could have had in previous years.
Like, it's going
Obviously,
to
you
be a good
can't,
one, dude.
but
Yeah. It's going to be a good game, dude.
yeah,
It should be a good game. I mean, we get to, it's part two. Like, we played them once. We won. It's a home game for Georgia, essentially, because that's how this works.
yeah.
That helps us out. But with the offense being the offense that we've seen, and the defense being the defense that I've seen, giving up 21 to UMass and 42 to Tech, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this game is either gonna be really close or Texas for Georgia, or Texas is gonna win by at least 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
And it depends on which quarterback gets more run. Because if Arch gets in there with his legs, that scares me. If it's just Ewers throwing, I'm not worried about it as much.
Which is crazy because Arch can probably throw as good as Ewers. They're just Ewers has just been the pedigree guy, and they're letting him run it out, and Arch has no problem
Mhm.
with it. But let's throw this out here. I was going to throw out some of these random things anyway. Who rushes for more touchdowns in this game? Arch Manning or Carson Beck?
I'm gonna say if Arch plays, Arch will run for more.
Oh,
Because
he'll play. I think he'll play.
Carson might get one on a good scramble, but I think if he plays, he might have two if he's a starter.
Sark is not going to let the cash cow pony sit in the corner. Ewers is going to control a majority of the game, but there are
Hmm.
packages just for Arch Manning, and it's not because of his last name. It's because of his arms and legs. The kid, oh, well,
Yeah.
and his brain.
Well, you
He's
saw him
a
when he played
Manning
against
for
Georgia
sure.
last time. He
Oh yeah,
had he broke off a big run and made a throw, but then Georgia's defense that had been iffy and shaky came alive. So Georgia's actually predicted to lose in the match predictor from ESPN. 61% think that Texas is going to take it. I don't blame them for doubting Georgia. Georgia has still, again, done nothing to prove because Texas's only loss. Georgia's done nothing to prove that they deserve to win this game.
what are they saying here? I know it's a two
You
and a
know,
half point. They're
yeah,
two
two and
and
a
a
half
half
point
point
right now.
favorite.
Over under is 49.5.
Ooh, I think they're just over that because 49 and a half is like if you're looking 27-24 puts you over that. And I think they're both going to score a little bit more than that. I think it might be 30-27 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at Texas's last few games. I mean, since the Georgia game, they have not allowed more than 20. See, they lost to Georgia. They gave up 30 points. They gave up 24 to Vandy, and since then they've not given up more than 17. But then again, they've played Florida, who
Mm,
has been very up and down. They
Mm-hmm.
played Arkansas, who's been great but not good, has been good but not great. Kentucky, that's
Yep.
had a down year because they don't have a
Yep.
quarterback, and that's Georgia Brock Vandegrift. I'm glad he's gone. No offense, kid. And Texas A&M that couldn't run on them because Texas A&M's running a true freshman out there. So all that to simply say, who knows? I really, as a Georgia fan, I'm sitting here looking at this going, I really don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Georgia. Like it's scary to look at. Georgia could come into this game, absolutely play amazing football and win 45 to 41 or 45-20. They could
Yeah.
show up and it be a 40, 49-42 Texas. It could be 49-12 Texas. As a
True.
Georgia fan, buckle down, enjoy the game as best as you can, and if it gets annoying and you're like, I can't keep doing this, turn it off, go watch something else, and don't worry about it. We should be in the playoff, and if we don't, hey,
I think you are.
accept the Outback Bowl or whatever bowl we're in, and look forward to next year because you know what? There's more to life than this. I'll go ahead and say that. I'm, you know, I'll be a bulldog forever. I love my dogs, but sometimes you just got to go. You know what? I'll check the highlights later. I'm gonna go relax now.
It's better for your health sometimes.
It is, and as a Michigan fan, it's kind of been that same way for y'all. Like, and sadly, Georgia's record doesn't show that. And this was a great year under any other coach other than Kirby Smart, because Kirby set a
Yeah.
standard of one loss and that's it. But nonetheless, it's still when you played this many close games, it's just like my heart can't take it.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely hear you. And I mean, you know, just to sneak that in, you were talking about having a quarterback for next year and you're losing a couple to the portal. I mean, we heard that that great Georgia Tech quarterback Zach Pyron, I believe, hit the transfer portal. So if you want him to just mosey on up to Athens, we could probably put in that call for you.
It just depends for me on who the coordinator is.
I'll
Maybe
be
he's got
honest,
a.
I like Zach Pyron, but you do not want him in red
No,
and
I was
black.
being sarcastic. He's not a Georgia level quarterback. I think Georgia's
It's
quarterback
not a Tech
is.
level
I think
quarterback.
at this point it's either going to be Gunnar Stockton or it's going to be Jaden Rashada, unless they bring somebody in via the portal, and there is someone out there that we really want that bad. Miller Moss, I'd give him run, but I think Georgia
I
and
didn't see that
they've
coming.
already started to shift toward a more dual threat quarterback. They realize our
Mm-hmm.
offense has to grow. So again, going back to the rumor I've heard, if things happen the way I think on the offensive side of the ball, I'm not this won't say names or nothing like that, but like I do think Georgia's already shifting toward dual threat. I think you're going to see us recruit more of them going forward, and I'm hoping that they shift in, if Georgia does get to change a coordinator position, I think there'll be a shift in philosophy on how we recruit the position, how we utilize talent around us, because we need someone who knows how to utilize the most of their talent. Someone like a Buster Faulkner that's out there or someone else, you kind of need someone who he proved it. Proved that even though he doesn't have the most talented roster, he proved that he can get his guys in space against Georgia, who's
Oh yeah.
weak, whose eyes are not great in the backfield, and he just threw it like pick plays that our own guys picked themselves and they made a big play off of it, or their guys were wide open all night and that was schemed open. That was
Yep.
schemed open.
Oh yeah.
That's scary. Like and again,
He wore your defense out
I
all
say this
night.
because was coaching for Georgia a few years ago. He
Mm-hmm.
did. He is someone that if I'm Georgia, I'm calling as in the offseason if I'm looking to make a move. There's a few
I
people
still
out there
say,
that I
I
would love
still
to
say,
see.
look, I don't want you to raid the tech staff too much, or honestly at all. But you still kind of need somebody to work with quarterbacks. Chris Winkie is sitting right there, and he's a
I
potential
know
offensive
you're
coordinator
stuck on
down the
Chris
road.
Winkie, but I'm not. I don't think that Chris Winkie's it. I don't know if he's
Look
I
at
don't know
what he
who
did
you need.
here. It's
Yeah,
not just
but I mean,
Haynes King. It's
well, I
Aaron
get it.
Philo. It's all these guys.
But are they? But I guess I mean I hear what you're saying, but like without watching them and knowing whether or not how they're their form and everything, is he the right call or is there someone else you can go get? Because Winky may not want to do that and follow that, or he might. You don't know, but I still think Georgia needs a quarterback coach. I don't know what that looks like. Winky is a intriguing possibility, but I mean. Like I said before, I'd go after like a Brian Greasy or somebody from the pro level who's a quarterback coach, and go
What
get
about
someone
Chandler
who's
Burke?
I mean, if he's the only thing, I mean, he could be fine, but I don't know. Like, I've not seen his offenses up there at Kennesaw State.
By the
I
way,
don't go after a predominantly running quarterback team. Is what I'm saying.
by
I
the way,
really wouldn't.
by the way, how many people get your bingo cards out? How many people had a Chandler Burks reference on this show tonight? and I didn't plan that. That actually popped in my head. He's pretty good at working with quarterbacks, even converting them from runners into
Good. Okay.
passes. So shout out Chandler Burke. Um, I did see the press conference this morning of the new guy, and you guys definitely want to tune in to the Kennesaw show this week to hear my thoughts on that.
So
But let's get into predictions. This is a 4 p.m. Was it ABC?
ABC 4 p.m. It's going
ABC.
to probably be the big game of the week.
Well, probably not. Probably there's only four that are listed as top 25 ones here, which means that there's only four that matter anyway. SEC, Big Ten, ACC, and Big 12. And Big 12 is just honorable mention. Well, let's be honest. But yeah, let's see. Big 12 is at 12. You got the Big Ten at 8, and that's great that it doesn't include the Buckeyes. And then you got the ACC, which is also at 8. So you will, I'll be honest, I would tune into the Big Ten game of Penn State versus Oregon way more than I would tune into Clemson versus SMU.
SMU should walk the field.
Absolutely,
They
they're gonna.
should. They're
It,
looking
it
good. They deserve to be in the playoff.
Clemson might decide to break off from South Carolina and be a part of Bermuda after that game.
They could be. I mean, I think Dabo's time is running very short because his
Yeah.
look at his recruiting class. It ain't good,
Ooh.
Clemson fans. That's the worst they've had there, and I think his portal, his whining, like he's quit whining and
Mhm.
being like, "Hey, well they're cheating." He's kind of quit doing that in the media. I think he's realizing his ways are about done.
Yep. You either
Um,
have to adapt or get out, and
right,
I
adapt or
unfortunately think
die.
he's gonna get out.
Hey, but if anyone wants to go see the Oregon Penn State game in person, tickets are only $13.
Where do they play that? In Indiana?
Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Colts.
Ooh,
That
man,
one,
if I would have thought, if I'd have thought longer, I might could have thrown some tickets to that.
yeah, I'm looking at them up right now, and you can get, I mean, super upper level, but like, like literally, you can sit there on the 50-yard line for $36. You're in the nosebleeds, but still, you're in the building for 36 bucks.
Well, ACC is at 39.
See, there you go. Sounds like we need to
And
hit up some college football games this weekend.
what about the Big 12? Are they giving those away?
Uh, I'm not
Well, it's
really
sponsored
sure.
by Dr. Pepper, so I think if you buy 3 fridge packs at your local Ingles, that you get tickets to the game. So
Yeah.
that's oh no,
I mean,
actually
is it
tickets as low as
crazy?
$57. It's
Is
actually
it
more to go to
crazy
this game.
to see that Arizona State and Iowa State are in that game? Because Iowa
It's
State being in the Big Ten, Big 12,
it's more crazy to see where they're playing.
yeah, AT&T
They're
Stadium.
playing in Jerry World.
They're playing in Jerry World.
It will be a way more entertaining game than if the Cowboys are there. So you guys enjoy Iowa State, Arizona State. I will actually probably go out of my way to watch that game, and I will definitely watch the SEC. Probably be highlights of the Big Ten and the ACC.
Yeah, probably so. That is insane, my friend.
But quick predictions.
Quick
Score prediction.
score prediction for the Georgia game. I'm going to say Texas wins it 37-30. I don't
Okay.
trust Georgia, and the last time I picked Georgia to lose, they won. So
I am
I
of
don't trust this team. I love my dogs, and I will be like I said, I will wear my jersey, but I just don't trust this football team after the past few weeks.
yeah. I mean, I'm even repping the team again. Probably more times this year than I ever have. But yeah, I have that weird feeling. I have that weird feeling that Arch Manning's going to rush for a touchdown late in the fourth, and they're going to go up 31-27, and they're going to win the game 31-27. And you know, it's going to be hook 'em horn as a top four team. I think Georgia gets the 7 or the 8 seed, which is good. You want to avoid 9. 9 puts you in a terrible spot. 7 puts you to where more than likely it will be you and Oregon in the final, and that's pretty much how I see it.
Yeah, I could see that. I we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it next time and see which bowl game or which game we go to next.
Absolutely. But for Jake Skinner, I'm Jeremy York. This has been Hunker Down. We will see you guys next week. Deuces, gooses. Go dogs.
Go dogs.